say, when you look at your 200 companies on campus, right? I assume you've interacted with a pretty good number of them over time. What are some of the themes you see across those different companies? What are some of the positive attributes that they hold in common?
Yeah, so I think, and this goes along with that same line of thinking, is that I think it's really based on the person, right? So you, I think, see in every community, you'll see people who are highly headstrong and people who are really humble. And I think that when you look at companies, at least most of the companies I've spoken to, you see people who obviously have a drive and a passion for what they're doing, but they're able to focus that in a different way, right? So they're able to look at it more as, oftentimes they've found their startup by finding a problem, right? And if you don't find the problem first, and you find the product first, you're in trouble. Because if you can't create a market for your product, you have to create a product for your problem. So most of the times when I see a successful entrepreneur, it's someone who's decided that they wanted to fix something. They focused all of their energy towards fixing it, but they've allowed themselves to really gain mentors, to talk to people, to network themselves, and to really get a lot of feedback as they've gone through, and really be able to take that criticism and use it to push themselves further.
That's one of the two small things that I agree. I think one of the things that I've seen, my answer was very negative. It was like, people say it doesn't work, don't do it, but it's the people I've seen that have a deep understanding of the market and know the user, and the VC says who's going to use it. I know who's going to use it. I've interviewed, I've talked to them, I've watched them work. And there's many different vehicles for this. There's studies, surveys, experiments, but it's the founder that comes in and says, I think it was Mark Cuban possibly in an interview that said he always tried to challenge the founders and see if they stood by their claims.
Absolutely.
So that's what I would say. And then also second, to Kate's effect, a lot of founders, we will invest in, not necessarily because their idea is great or the market's there, because they're a great team, but normally it's the people that are well networked, that know people, and it's those that will be able to find something in the market. Because even if you have the greatest idea, if you can't recruit a co-founder, if you can't recruit a technical co-founder, you're in trouble.
So this is a very interesting discussion because this is a business school. So, and the requirement of any major accelerators, you need a hacker and a hustler, right? So at MIT, there's no problem with finding the hackers. Okay, they're hanging off the trees, right? They're everywhere. But how about Northeastern? How do you manage that? How many startups are started where MBAs are a part of that equation?
So and this is funny too because I just actually met with a company who's looking for the hacker. They're the hustlers, and I think so. The problem I think you run into most with Northeastern is when you have Northeastern has a co-op program, right? So you've got a school of CS people who have these great opportunities to go work at Facebook, Twitter, all these huge companies, and pulling them to work for a startup when they can be working at Google is a little bit difficult. And they get paid very well. And so I think you run into that problem a little bit at Northeastern, but at the same time, there is a pretty big CS school and it's getting bigger. And so I think a lot of companies, at least through the Idea Accelerator, we have what's called Co-Founders Lab and a number of other programs that connect design work with CS people with business people. So we try to facilitate that as much as possible. So most either are started by technical people or bring on technical people very early. I think maybe it's not as technically focused as some of the other universities. It's a little bit more business focused at Northeastern, but you definitely still see it.
So the founders are mostly business driven to start with, and they go out to find technology talent more often than not, right?
It's probably 50-50. I mean, you see, I think, more chemical engineers, civil engineers, industrial engineers from the technical side coming in than you see purely CS people. And I don't know why that is.
And how is it very different?
I was going to say two things to that. One is MIT is hard because people always see business students always think, oh, there's technologists hanging off the trees. They're all doing their own things. They're they're starting their own companies. And that's why you got to get someone on the ground early because we've seen a lot of companies that come with great pitch, great tech, great market. But we say, look, recruiting is hard. I'm not convinced that you can recruit someone if you haven't already.
Right.
So that's